Hello and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Mike Duffy, and as you can see, Joe Thomas. We will be joined by Ben, hopefully in a couple of minutes. Actually, he went to the game, so we're bringing you a perspective. And just as I said that, he's in the waiting room, but we'll add him in a sec. We're bringing you a perspective of watching it at home, which me and Joe did, and Ben, who was at the game. So. I'm going to add Ben in now straight away, pretty much. So, Ben's now in. So, Ben, thank you for joining us, mate. You all good?
Evening, boys. Yeah, all good, thank you. Sorry if it's a bit loud. I'm currently walking back to my car along Canterbury Drive. So rain's still pelting down and there's cars going past. So, yeah, apologies if you can't hear me too much. But, yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Cool, that was an entertaining game, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And Joe, we get to watch it in the warmth of our homes. It was absolutely.
Lucky tonight. It was.
Yeah, it was. I don't envy you, Ben, but you know.
Tell you what, it was raining that much. The rookery was leaking. It was like a waterfall in like about 5-6 different areas, and people was moving from their seats trying to get away from it. But then the wind was blowing in a different direction. It was soaking everyone. It was quite funny, to be fair.
Before we dive into things tonight, obviously this is different. This is new to us. We're trialing to see if this is going to work. We know the boys, the fantastic lads over at Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, tend to do a Twitter space straight after the game, but we've really struggled, I suppose, since we started the podcast, me and Ben, at sort of getting regular content out after midweek games, because it sort of messes the schedule up. You know, you have a preview lined up for a Saturday game, and then you realise, we're playing on a Wednesday or a Tuesday. So, providing all goes well tonight, we're going to try and look to do a live. Obviously, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube as well at the moment. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and pop your comments in about what you thought about the game. But Joe, I'll come to you first. Just one change tonight. Kone come in for Tom Dele-Bashiru. Now, personally, I think Kone, when he come on at the weekend against Birmingham City, he was superb. He was fantastic, and I'm jumping the gun a bit here, Joe, but I think he sort of started off, picked up where he left off, really. I thought he was superb tonight.
Yeah, I thought he was really good as well. I thought he did well. I thought his passing was good. I thought he got stuck in all the challenges that were coming in. He was unlucky, obviously, not to score as well, wasn't he, with the header? And then the one in the first half where he just over the bar for a one-on-one. So he was getting right involved tonight. I thought, I thought it was fully deserved his start tonight.
And Ben, your reaction to the one change tonight? Obviously, Bio come back on the bench as well for Kayembe. But what was your reaction when you saw the team lose at 6:45 tonight?
I kind of expected maybe Andrews to come in for Ngakia over on the right-hand side. But yeah, I thought Kone played himself into that starting lineup. When he came on last weekend, it was fantastic, and he carried on tonight. I thought he was one of the better players for Watford tonight. But maybe would have brought Andrews in from the start. But yeah, other than that, no complaints.
Yeah, absolutely. And it took all of 3 minutes for the game to really kick into life. Well, that first half to kick into life. The second half was shite. Can't imagine we'll talk about that too much. But Tom Ince got his first goal of his Watford career. Brilliantly worked. And I think that's the frustrating thing, Joe, is, you know, for all the times we see the slow build-up, like pretty much the second half, and hey, listen, you know, the weather's not going to help matters. I get that. No, but there's a lot of slow build-up and, you know, players getting the ball and walking and then playing it back. But what's frustrating is we've shown, not just tonight with Tom Ince's goal and other goals this season, but we've shown when we speed it up and we get a good pattern going, we look a dangerous team. That was a beautiful move for the first goal, wasn't it?
It was. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a great pass from Loser, and then obviously great vision from Tom to put it in the top corner. But we saw with both goals, I thought moving it more quickly creates space quicker, and obviously both players got a lot of space to get their shots away, and they both ended up in the back of the net. So it just shows if you go pass the ball a bit quicker, then you do create that space and doesn't give the other team a chance to close down, does it? So
no, absolutely. And
I think what impressed me the most with that first goal, sorry to jump in, but it was it was over on the left-hand side, and Morris got like the deftest little touch on it to get it out of the way of the West Brom player, and then he played a quick 1-2 with Martins, and Martins was away, and it was. I totally agree with you. It was the quicker we move the ball, we look a threat, but so many times in that game, I slow it down when we was in a really good opportunity, and it's just so frustrating to work. And we could see today, like when we moved it quickly, we scored 2 fantastic goals, and I just wish we saw that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping with you, Ben, took the lead. It was great. First goal in the first half since QPR at home, I believe. Or is it first home? Or did we
first
go?
Home goal. Yeah, first home goal, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Coventry. We scored in the first half, I think. It's 2 minutes past 10 on a Wednesday night, so you'll have to bear with me, guys. My brain's a bit on its arse, but obviously, that's what we've been wanting. We want sort of quick starts. That's something Watford have struggled with for many a season now, really. And then 2 real big sort of preventable goals, and it seems to be a bit of a running theme at the moment, Ben. You look at that Coventry game, they score all 3, and really we gifted all 3 to them. And again, a real gift from the gods for West Brom tonight. Both fullbacks, that first one, what Ngaki is doing there. I know he's tried to put his foot through it to clear it initially, but for God's sake, to bring down the player on the edge of the box, I mean, it would have annoyed me any team he'd done that against, but more so because John Swift, that's his bread and butter. He scores free kicks, he scores long range goals, and that's what he's known for doing. But firstly, Ben, how annoying was it that Ngakia played himself into trouble like that? And tell me how you thought Ngakia did, because I don't think it was his best game. And secondly, I mean, you were right behind the goal. What on earth was Batman doing, lining up? Like, what was he doing for that free kick? It was not good at all, was it, Ben?
Not at all. It doesn't look good, and obviously Batman's going to get the abuse because he should have maybe done better. But for me, it was avoidable. We shouldn't have asked about on the right hand side, and Ngaki played himself into trouble. Then he ended up lounging in and conceding a free kick on the edge of the box. And like you say, John Swift, that's bread and butter for him. If he can get it down and over a wall, then it's a goal. But he just saw that Batman went over to the right side quickly, and there was a massive gap on the left. And all he had to do was just stand on the left-hand side, because the right-hand side, that's covered by the wall. If a ball goes under and into the goal, that's a fantastic try from Swift, and you can't do anything with it. Just stay out to the left. He could have just caught that.
Yeah, and I watched the replay, and it's almost like he went to his left, but then changed his mind at the last minute. And as soon as you do that as a goalkeeper, as soon as your feet are committed one way, you're not getting back over. And he's wrong-footed himself, like you say. Should have thought about it better, because the right-hand side is covered by the wall. Not a good night for Ngakia tonight, Joe. Do you agree? I think that was one of his worst performances in a Watford shirt.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed at all. I'll be honest, I said to you guys before, I didn't think he should have started anyway. I was surprised that Andrews didn't start after his performance, after coming on against Birmingham. I thought he played like Kone his way into the starting 11, but didn't happen for him tonight, which is a shame. But hopefully, after Ngaki's performance tonight, I kind of expect Andrews to start on Saturday now, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I said the exact same thing as you in our group chat before, that I was very surprised that Andrews didn't play. Another man who I'm surprised didn't play well from the start at least was Jamal Lewis. Now, I must hold my hands up here. Obviously, prattling around for the West Brom second goal. James Morris caught with a ball under his feet and dicking around with it yet again. Another blunder from a fullback. And I must say, Ben, Jed Wallace didn't have to take that goal really well. It was a tight angle, but again, architects of our own downfall there, and shouldn't be dicking around with it there, should we, Ben?
100%. No, shouldn't have been dicking around with it at all. If Morris just cleared his line, that wouldn't have gone in. And again, it's 2 goals that are avoidable, and we've just gifted West Brom those goals tonight, because we've scored 2 fantastic goals, gifted them 2. We should be talking about a 2-0 victory tonight, but yet we're talking about a 2-2 draw, because our fullbacks have been, well, they're at fault tonight, aren't they? If Morris just cleared his line,
we would have gone up the pitch. We probably would have had an attack, and who would have known? We could have maybe had another opportunity at scoring, but instead he's far off the belt, and Jed Wallace is he was just a little bit quicker than our central defenders, wasn't he? And he just got there ahead of them and just toe-poked that in. It was a quality finish, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily for us, we didn't sort of let our guard down after that, because West Brom sort of grew into the game, I think, Joe. And last season when we went, if we'd have gone 2-1 down, you sort of fear the worst a little bit, and maybe West Brom would have smelt blood. But Matthias Martins does it again, and for I was going to mention this at the end of the show, but for you guys watching, whether it's now or watching back, the Leeds United preview is out tomorrow, and I said to the Leeds fan that Matthias Martins has got this really annoying knack of cutting in on his stronger foot and shooting from outside the box. And I said, a lot of the time it'll go over, but there's been a couple of times he's got him in, against Coventry, and he did just that tonight, Joe. It was a brilliant finish, and that's his trademark now, isn't it? It very much like Chucho, it reminds me of, but took his goal superbly, and again, I think he was solid tonight.
Yeah, he was. He was very good. I thought I was very impressed with him. Every time he gets the ball, he looks a threat. He just looks hungry to go forward. He looks like that sort of player we need. Like both should be starting. Obviously, they both scored tonight. They're both good at what they do. They're going to be a threat all season for us if they continue the way they are. So, yeah, can't really fault him or Tom Ince tonight for me. I thought they were both good.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully Martins is starting on Saturday, because again, not to give too much away from the Leeds preview, it sounds like they're very much playing with I think it's their left back isn't their first choice left back. I don't think they've got one, so I think Sam Byram's playing out there as sort of a makeshift. So I know Martins won't be up against him directly, but if we're playing against someone who's not a sort of competent left back, then why not switch it round? So fingers crossed, and he continues in his rich vein of form. John Marks made a very good stat tonight. He said that every game Matthias Martins has scored in for Watford, we've not lost, and obviously that continued tonight, 2-2 draw. But Ben, a bit of a recurring theme, second half. And listen, I think a lot of this is weather. A lot of this is down to the weather. But that second half was so flat. West Brom probably started and had the better of the second half overall. Is that something you'd agree with, Ben?
Yeah, definitely. But the weather definitely played its part in that second half. The heavens just opened. It got heavier. It got windier. It was difficult conditions for the players. But yeah, West Brom came out for stronger. We maybe tussled it back a little bit and then started getting our foot on the ball and created some chances. A really good save by Palmer from a Kone header, which was tipped onto the crossbar. But apart from that, there wasn't really much there for both teams, really. It was a bit of a scrappy affair, that second half.
Absolutely, and we saw a triple change as usual, Joe, on the just before the hour mark. 57 minutes. Asprilla, Andrews, and Lewis all on. Ince and Gakia and Morris off. Asprilla again. He just continues to wow, and he really is the type of player you want coming off the bench, because he's a live wire more than anything. And sometimes in a game, when it's a bit flat, you just need someone that's going to run and run and run and run. And Asprilla does that, and he's so full of these tricks. And he made a couple of really clever passes, but unfortunately, Bio or Rajovic just couldn't get on the end of them. But how good was Asprilla when he come on?
Yeah, I was really, again, another impressive performance from him after coming on. I thought he was good, not only obviously on the wing, but what impressed me was he got involved in the middle of the park today. There's a couple of times where he picked up the ball off, taking the ball off people, and actually getting a foot in and driving forward. As you mentioned there was if a pass had been a bit better to Bio, I think he nicked the ball in midfield and tried to play a through pass to Bio, but he couldn't get on the end of it. So yeah, he's just improving, isn't he? More and more as he's getting more game time. He'll be mustard soon, I think, for us. Very exciting.
Yeah. Hopefully, it won't be long before he can, like you say, force his way into that starting 11 and sort of make that place his own. But we've got some good options on that right. Tom Ince obviously scoring his first goal today. He's already got an assist to his name after the Coventry game as well. So we're certainly blessed in those positions, which is good for once. Ben, I want to get your viewpoint on Matty Pollock coming on. So obviously Ryan Porteous took an absolute knock. First things first, obviously it's right in front of you. That follow-up where he's took the knock initially, do you think that there was a hint of a penalty in that? Would you say more so than the Ryan Andrews one, which I must hold my hand up? It was a brilliant tackle from keeper, I think it was. But what were your thoughts on the Porteous sort of following? And it was a shame to see him come off. And it's bad if a player like Porto has to come off because he's a real hard bastard.
Yeah, absolutely. With Porto, if he stays down, there's something wrong with him. But the challenge in itself, it was difficult to see. Like, where I'm sat, I'm directly behind the goal in the rookie, about 10 rows up. I had the rain going in my face. There were so many players in front of it as well, so it was difficult to see. You guys probably had a better view watching it from the TV. What were they saying on the TV? Were they saying there was a possible shout for a penalty, or?
No, not really. They didn't really mention anything about it, to be honest with you. They just said I think the commentator just said he was down injured, and that was it. The commentary wasn't that great, I'll be honest, on the telly for that.
You were watching on the Red Button, I was watching on Hive Live, and Tommy Smith sort of mentioned it as a passing comment that he thought it was more of a penalty than the Ryan Andrews one. I think everyone was in agreement. Obviously, the initial sort of impact, the initial sort of impact of the Ryan Andrews one, like everyone's, of course, he's going to be like up in arms and like, whoa, what the hell? But like after you watch it, you think, fucking hell, that was a decent challenge. And he's a good centre back. He's at keeper. He scored twice against Watford last season, so still having a few nightmares about him. But it was a shame to see him come off. I mean, Pollock come on and sort of, I think Joe did what was asked of him. I don't think he looked out of place. I must hold my hands up though, and if anyone that knows him or family's watching or anything, don't take this personally, but my heart was in my mouth a little bit when he come on. I did think, I still have flashbacks to that Millwall game, but he did what was needed, really, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't really put a foot wrong, to be honest. He didn't really have enough time, if truth be told, to put a foot wrong. He came on and was just solid, and like you say, he did what he needed to do. He did what we needed to do to see the game out. It didn't really look like after he came on that either team was really doing too much. Both teams, looked quite happy for the draw at that point. It just looked like they wanted to come off, didn't they? To be fair.
Absolutely. I think it did get to that stage where, Tommy Smith again, he mentioned that when the weather's like that, the Watford did look a bit leggy. Your kit weighs a little bit heavier and your legs start to get a bit dreary. And there was a couple of half chances, wasn't there, Ben, sort of in that second half, especially towards the end. And I think West Brom sort of showed that it was clear that they were quite happy to play for the point, whereas Watford really were trying to, get that last-ditch goal like we did on Saturday. But would you say, Ben, draw a fair result, based on what you've just gone and watched at Watford there?
Absolutely not. We should be talking about a 2-0 victory tonight, and the fullbacks are fucked up. I don't know if I'm sounding a bit too harsh, but in my eyes, we've gifted them 2 goals, and I don't think the draw would be a fair result, because other than that, Batman made 2 really good saves from distance. But other than that, they didn't really knock on the door massively, did they? So, in my eyes, we should be talking about 3 points here for Watford, and we should be sitting in 14th place. We should have been maybe 7th or 8th with 3 points.
What about you, Joe? You agreeing with Ben there?
I don't know. Obviously that Thomas Asante was the one that had the 2 shots, didn't he? The one that Ben mentioned, obviously, one was from distance. The other was a bit closer and a better save because he was closer to goal, I thought. But they did have a couple of chances, I thought. There was a chance, there was a bit of a shout for a penalty where the ref kind of was unmoved. I don't know if you kind of remember that, where the ball came across and someone was going in and they slid in towards.
Yeah, I think that was Furlong.
Yeah, I think it was either Furlong or Townsend, I think it was, that did that. So Yeah, there was a couple of chances. I think towards the back end of that second half, other than the long range shot, I thought when they went forward, they looked a little bit more threatening in terms of creating a bit more space for chances. But yeah, I don't know. I think a draw probably is a fair result based on the saves that Backman's had to make. But then saying that, Kone obviously had the keepers had to make the save from Palmer's made the save from Kone. So yeah, maybe we probably did just edge it slightly. But you know, you create your own luck in this league, don't you? You come away with a draw. That's
Absolutely.
it.
No, I think I was thinking towards the end of the game, if West Brom do sort of a man of the match vote and it goes to Twitter, I wouldn't be surprised if their goalkeeper wins it, because he pulled off some really smart saves tonight, and that one from Kone in the second half, like to get down and tip it onto the bar. It actually reminded me this is going to jog a few memories. If you remember Stevenage in the cup, and Jonathan Bonds made this absolute worldie of a save low down. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that, but yeah, he kept them in it. And look, like you said, you could probably flip the coin and sort of look on the other side and say that Backman kept us in it. I know he fucked up for the free kick goal, but that save from Thomas Asante, the second one in late on in the game, that was brilliant. And commentary said that it was very Kasper Schmeichel-esque, and you know, I instantly knew what they meant. You know, really, really, you know, made himself big, brought himself out real quick, and you know, I think I can't say, I don't know whether I can say made up for the error for the free kick, because it was a bit of a daft goal to let in, but. Yeah, if you look on it, you know, I'll probably wake up tomorrow and look back on it and think, like Ben said, you know, we've gifted them 2 goals there, and it's another 2 points dropped, a bit like the Coventry game. There's 4 points straight away. You know, we're sitting in 14th, like Ben said, on 9 points. You know, you cut those errors out, and we could be in the playoffs now on 13 points. But you know, I'm sure we'll make up for it in other games, and I'm sure there's games where we will pick up points where we perhaps don't, you know, deserve it, or pick up 3 points. Look at Birmingham, for example. You know, that was heading for a 0-0, and we snatched 2 at
dug it out.
So,
you know what? I know I probably sound like a grumpy old man because I'm moaning about the 2 goals that we've given away tonight, but I sat in the rain and the wind, and it's probably got to my head a little bit, but I still came away entertained, because that's so much more entertaining than what we've seen the last 2 seasons. So I do feel entertained. It's just, in my point of view, I'm just still a bit frustrated, especially when you make the effort, you go to the games, and you sit in the rain and you get drenched by the waterfall coming out of the rookery, and then you see our fullbacks pissing about with it, and then there's 2 goals from the back of it. So maybe I'll wake up a little bit in the morning and be like, okay, maybe a draw would have been a fair result. So I'm just wet through at the moment.
Yeah, you and 22 players and the referee and his lino, I think they're the most drenched sort of going home now. But yeah, I mean that result, as Ben said, leaves us 14th, 9 points we're on at the moment. We are 3 points outside the playoffs. There's a lot of teams between us and the playoffs. Hull got a draw tonight, which lifted them into the playoffs. They drew with Leeds, and obviously we got Leeds on Saturday. Leeds actually had a man sent off, so Joe Rodon won't be playing on Saturday because he got 2 yellow cards, and also Willie Nonso, is it? He come off, I think, he come off in the first half, so maybe an injury there. So something to keep an eye on, because I think he's half decent. But that result actually puts us 4th in the home table. So we've played 5 games at home, more than anyone, because of the original home game against QPR. And we've picked up 8 points. Now, only Preston, who have got 12 points from 4 at home, and Cardiff and Norwich, who have got 9 points from 4 games, they better us. So the home form is steadily improving, and as Ben rightly said there, we are entertained, and it is much better than last season, and there is hope still. And I must admit, Joe, I want to get your thoughts on this. How are you feeling now heading into Saturday, because it's a big game. Ellen Road's not an easy place to go.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, especially with Roland now not playing. Gonto, if he's not playing, they were a bit lackluster from what they were saying on the telly tonight. They showed a few chances that both sides were having. These didn't look that great. Got to give while I think of this, I've got to give a shout out to the woodwork this season, because I mentioned it in our chat. That's the 6th time now we've hit the woodwork this season, which is incredible for us. Like, I say we don't do it enough, and we don't shoot, but we're clearly shooting enough, and we're doing the right things. We're just not getting that little bit of luck sometimes. So yeah, we're heading in the right direction, definitely. Like Ben said, it's entertaining, and it's a lot more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ben, just before we wrap it up, I want to get your final thoughts. How are you feeling now heading into Saturday? Are you feeling a bit confident?
I don't know. It's Ellen Road. It's Leeds United. They seem to have clicked at the right time for me. Joe Peru's he scores goals for fun at this level, and now he's getting the delivery at Leeds United. He seems a serious threat, and with Ryan Porteous going off injured, that's a big concern for me. What's Val going to do with the team? Is he going to drop Sirielto at the back? I bloody hope he does, because I do not want to be seeing a centre-back pairing of Hoot and Pollock away at Leeds. So I think Sirielto and Hoot would be for once for me, and then maybe bring back Tom Delly or Livermore into that centre. But I am a little bit worried going to Leeds, if I'm totally honest, because we've seen our defence leak goals away at Coventry, and now we've seen it tonight at home to West Brom, and we're going to Leeds United, but they score an awful lot of goals. They've scored loads of goals away from home against Ipswich, and Ipswich aren't any fools. They've done it at Millwall at the weekend as well, and Millwall, they've normally got a good defensive record as well. So coming up against a Watford team that have been leaky at the back, I do worry about this, and I would snatch your hand off now if you offered me a point.
Yeah. Well, I said exactly the same. So let's get a quick score prediction from you both. Joe, you go first, mate.
It's all set up for a 1-0 Watford away win, isn't it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. We'll take that. Ben, score prediction?
3-0 Leeds.
Ooh, 3-0 Leeds.
He's cold and wet. He's cold and wet.
Yeah.
I've got brain freeze.
We'll ask him in the group chat tomorrow morning when he's warmed up. Get a nice cup of tea down here when you get home, Ben. But no, that leads me on nicely, actually. We'll wrap it up there just before the 30-minute mark. So that leads me on nicely, as I say, to the podcast is coming out tomorrow. So you're going to get 2 podcasts in 24 hours, really. So this is obviously on Facebook and YouTube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it out as a podcast straight away. So it'll be available straight away for you as soon as we finish here. And then tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, you're going to get another podcast, which is me speaking to a chap called Adam, who's a Leeds fan. And me and him talk about the game and everything else. And it's basically like 2 mates speaking, and I've just happened to hit a record button. So it's quite a chilled one. It's quite a funny one. A lot of memories and sort of talking about both sort of squads. And it's not the usual I ask question after question after question. It's back and forth. So hopefully you like it. It's a little bit different. And he advises on the best away pubs and best places to park as well. So we're going to be doing that as a feature for the away games going forward. But yeah, that'll be out 7 o'clock in the morning on YouTube, on Facebook, and as a podcast. So yeah, lucky. You lot are very lucky you got 2 podcasts in 24 hours. But thank you very much for joining us. The numbers have been good tonight. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you're watching live or if you're re-watching it, we're going to be looking at doing this going forward for midweek games. I know it's a little bit late, and people want to get to bed with work in the morning and whatnot. So, yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification button as well. So every time we go live, you'll be notified. And every time we put a video out, you'll be notified as well. But from me, Mike Duffy, Joe Thomas and Ben Aiton, thank you very, very much for watching. Stay safe, stay warm, and come on, you horns.